Hello guys, and welcome back to A Page in the Chapter, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Paige and today we are random number generating my 24-hour challenge. I left my drink on the side. We just have an iced chai this morning because I have found that the trick to 24-hour challenges is to pace yourself with the caffeine. But anyway, that's besides the point. So the concept of this video came about because I have a terribly long physical TBR. I have a real problem when it comes to buying books. It's kind of like, if I go out, I'm probably gonna buy a book. It just brings me so much happiness and I enjoy it so much, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with buying books if you can afford to buy books. And I'm not trying to stop anyone, but it was getting a little bit out of hand. So at the start of the year, I started using my Notion to track my physical TBR. I track the books that were already on it. I then add and track what books I bought this year, when I bought them. I also track like when I read the books, and so I'm just keeping track of all of the new books that come in and which ones come off of my TBR. And so in this year so far, I am at 20. I have read 23 books, but I have bought 29 books, so they're a little bit off, and I have 58 unread books. But basically, because I have this little list here, we're just gonna random number generate, and I will read the book that corresponds to the number that the generator gives us, so that I have less choice in the matter, because I have found that my reading is I'm very enticed by new books. I often want to read new books, and I also buy a lot of books for like vibes. So I've got like my spring books, my autumn books, my Halloween books, my Christmas books. You know, when I pick up a book and I see it has a certain vibe to it, and if I don't get to it at the time that I originally designated, then I tend to just wait until the next year. But then by then I have new books with that vibe, and so I'm not really reading the books as quickly as I'm buying them, because I'm being too picky about the ones that I'm picking up, and I tend to just gravitate towards the new ones. But then I buy a lot of new books, so stuff isn't being read. And the point of the random number generator is that I can't be picky about it. It will be a great opportunity to get some books that have been on my physical TBR for a really long time off of my TBR. I have no control in the matter. It is 8:20 in the morning now. We will be starting this 24-hour challenge promptly at 9 AM, and we'll be doing 9 AM to 9 AM. But I figured I would random number generate the first pick for the 24-hour challenge with you right now. So if you like the sound of this video and you like seeing different reading challenges, then do please feel free to hit that big red subscribe button down below and stay tuned for future content. I upload every single Wednesday and occasionally on a Sunday, and I tend to do a lot of reading challenges. I have a playlist entitled Doing Something Stupid for you to go and find all of my previous 24-hour challenges and other various reading challenges. Also, do feel free to check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Page in Chapter to see what I'm reading and how I'm reviewing it in real time, and get involved in challenges like this and see when they're happening and stuff like that. Without further ado, let's random number generate. Between 1 and 58. We're gonna press generate any second now. Okay, so generate 18. Oh, okay. I should specify though that obviously if I land on a book that's a sequel, I will read the first book in that series or just re-roll. Or also if I land on a very specifically Christmas book, I'm not reading a Christmas book in May. That's not happening, so we will re-roll. But 18. I landed on the Penguin Book of Christmas Stories. Funny enough, I should say that. So we're gonna regenerate a number. 17. Okay. The Atlas 6. Okay. No, I'm happy about this choice. I have been wanting to read the Atlas 6 for a very long time. I was going to wait until October, but that's okay. That's the whole point of this. And I've actually wanted to read this book for so long that I now have 2 copies of the Atlas 6, because I bought it and didn't read it for so long that I convinced myself I didn't own it. So I bought it again because I wanted to read it. And so yeah, now I have 2 copies. It's time to finally read one of them. So I will go find the book, and then at 9 AM we will start reading the Atlas 6, which is a book I am actually pretty happy has come up. I have reached part 2 of the Atlas 6. It is 9:45, so I've been at this for 45 minutes and I'm on page 57, which is not great progress. I'm happy about this idea, and I think it's a good idea, and I'm excited to finally get to the Atlas 6. But also this book is over 500 pages long. I don't know if I'll be able to pick up another book after this. It is, not only is it over 500 pages, the writing is small and it is like dense and quite complicated world building at the moment. Maybe it will pick up as I get into it. I'll speed up. I don't know. I am uncaffeinated at the moment because I've only had the iced chai, so you know, there's definitely room for things to speed up and me to start making better progress. But getting into this book was slow going. I was confused, the writing is dense, but we're getting there. I am intrigued. I am enjoying it at the moment. Fun cast of characters. Do not like Parisa at the moment, but I feel like she could grow on me. Yeah, my biggest worries at the moment are kind of like keeping an eye on the time and keeping an eye on my page count and trying to make sure that I can get through this book fairly speedily so we can at least do one more. Only reading one book in 24 hours is fine. It's still one book off of my physical TBR. We can always do this again. It's really not a problem. But for the fun of the video and the fun of like, I have planned that I was doing a 24-hour challenge today. I've cleared my schedule for today, so I would like to get to more than one book if possible. So as exciting as it is to finally read this book, a 500+ page book for a 24-hour challenge is not the best, but that is just the luck of the draw. It is 12:07 and I wish I could tell you that I'd finished it. I have not. I am on part 6, which is page 280. So this book is 506 pages long, so I am over halfway through now, which is useful information, and hopefully I will be able to get to a second book today. I have found myself really pulled into this story. I am really enjoying it. I can see why this did so well. It is dark academia in the best way possible, and I'm just really enjoying not quite knowing where any of these characters stand. Like, I have favorites. Favorites so far are Libby and Nico. I am a sucker for enemies to lovers, and I feel like they've got so much chemistry, and I really enjoy when it's either of their chapters because I get to see them interacting with each other, and I don't actually care whether they end up together or not because in my brain they will be. And then I also really like Reina and her power. I think it's really cool. I think she is just a very cool lady. I'm enjoying how clever she seems to be. But yeah, at 12:09 I think I should go downstairs and probably get some water. I'm a little bit dehydrated. Hello. We do have a friend at the moment, but yeah, I am over halfway and it only took 3 hours to reach the halfway mark. I'm still hoping that I will speed up my reading pace. I don't know if I will. I'm still uncaffeinated. I'm gonna stay uncaffeinated and probably have a Red Bull at like 1:30 in the afternoon, and hopefully that will carry me through and I won't overdo the caffeine and have a panic attack like has happened in the past. But yeah, really enjoying this book so far. Still don't really understand what's going on. It's a very weird book, but I'm very intrigued to see where this book goes. I will of course naturally have to buy the sequel because I need to know what happens. It is 1:30. I've grabbed some food. I am on a page 408, so we're getting there. But it's time for the first energy drink. I don't know if I will have multiple energy drinks. I'll switch to coffee. I don't know. But the tropical Red Bull is my second favourite Red Bull, second only to the apricot and strawberry, which tastes like fizzy lances in a can. But this one's pretty good too. But yeah, I am having a great time with the Atlas 6. Is it something I would ever normally want to pick up? No. but I loved it. I also saw a TikTok being like, one of those TikToks that's like, should you read the popular book talk books, like one of those types of things, and the TikTok kind of slated this book and said, oh, you know, don't read it because it's supposed to be about the Library of Alexandria and it's not really set there at all. And I get it, it's not really about the Library of Alexandria, but it also is. And it's about the issues that come along with like one place having that much knowledge, which I've never considered before, and it's very, very interesting, and I'm so interested to see how this all wraps up, and it's all getting very, very exciting, and I'm very happy that I've finally been forced to read this book. So yeah, I only have another 100 pages or so, and then we'll be on to book 2, which I am kind of hoping will be a light, fluffy romance, but it's in the hands of the gods, really, isn't it? At 2:20 in the afternoon, I have finished the Atlas 6. I made pretty good progress on this. I'm disappointed that I didn't quite get the answers that I was hoping for, or not necessarily. We got answers, but then it definitely has a very open-ended ending and definitely leads on for other stuff to happen in the trilogy, and I don't feel satisfied by the ending basically, but I do think that that was intentional. I have no idea what to rate this. I'm very confused by my feelings towards it. I think I need to sit with it for a while, and then often looking back on a book I can decide if I enjoyed the experience or not. Right now I honestly think I'm around like the 3-star mark. Like, it was good, but it also feels kind of like an average reading experience, and I don't know, I need to sit with it for a little while. But let's generate a new number. Okay, so I also did find a duplicate on my list, so rather than 58 we now have 55 unread books. I must have found multiple. Okay, so let's generate a number, shall we? 33. What is number 33? Oh, okay, it is Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson, which the book is in the other room, but this is the last Morgan Matson book that I have to read. I have been putting it off because it doesn't entice me or excite me. I bought it because I've loved, and I mean loved, all of Morgan Matson's other books, but just the plot of this one didn't really entice me, and so it sat on my shelf for a while. But it will be good to get that book off of my physical TBR, and I can normally read Morgan Matson books in a matter of a couple hours, so I think this will be a useful one for this video. So let me go and get the book and then we can discuss what it's about. So I got the book. This is a young adult novel by Morgan Matson, as I said. Loved her books in the past. So this follows two best friends, Kat and Stevie, and they decide to go into New York City and have this like wild, crazy night together. They're just supposed to see a play, eat at a restaurant, have a fun night, but then their phones get broken, they get separated, they have a fight, and I'm assuming in true Morgan Matson fashion it will be about the experience of friendship as a young teenage girl. I've enjoyed Morgan Matson books before. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. It doesn't feel as enticing as some of her other books like Save the Date and Since You've Been Gone. And this is also a 400-page book. I'm only getting big books today. I can't say that either of these two books have been ones that I would have said I was excited to read or wanted to come up in this video today, but that was kind of the point. I was supposed to get some TBR veterans, which both of these books are, so at least after today they will not be on my TBR anymore. And now I should go into this book and not get it over with. I'm going in with an open mind, but I'm really hoping that I like it. I should also say the DNFs are very much allowed. I have a separate category on my Notion for DNFs, so they are allowed. But we'll see. I did not need it for the Atlas 6. That was a good enough book to finish for sure. We'll see how Take Me Home Tonight goes. Hey Marvin, you cuddling your toy? Is that your toy? Here you go. Yeah, it's yours. I am 260 pages into Take Me Home Tonight. This is my least favourite Morgan Matson book. The whole premise is based on miscommunication, which is just not... I never found it fun to read in romantic relationships, in friendships. It does have that very typical Morgan Matson friends who just kind of refuse to communicate with each other, or one of the girls just kind of refuses to communicate with her family and is kind of in a rough spot with her family, and it's about them through the events of the night really discovering and growing as people through this and forming better relationships with everyone in their lives. It's very typical Morgan Matson. I've always enjoyed the way that she's brought familial and like non-romantic relationships into her books, and this kind of teenage growth of actually understanding that your family and your parents are humans too, and learning to really relate to them and connect with them as more of a grown-up, and actually understanding the family more. But just in general, the miscommunication in this, you know, it's not my favourite one so far, but I'm rushing to the finish line a little bit with this one. I just want it done, I want to move on. I'm very intrigued to see kind of the revelations and how things work out. It's doing a good job of keeping me intrigued enough to get through the book. I definitely don't think it's a DNF, but I normally give Morgan Matson books easy 5 stars. So far, I think this could probably be like a 2.5 star book, but I also very much could have outgrown them. The last time I read a Morgan Matson book, young adult contemporaries were the only contemporaries that I read, and now I read a lot of contemporary romances, adult contemporaries, adult literary fictions and stuff, so I could have just outgrown this genre a little bit, but my reviews will still be reflective of how I feel about a book and how I enjoyed it, and I'm not gonna say that I'm gonna give a book 4 stars just because I think that I've outgrown the genre. I've never really understood that, because I read young adult books that I do enjoy and I do give 5 stars, and just because it's not aimed at me doesn't mean that I should review it higher than I think it is, because as long as the people who it's aimed at are reviewing it honestly, then the other people that it's aimed at will think the book is good based on that. I don't know, this is a whole different tangent, but yeah, just getting through to the end of this book now, not very long to go. It's 5 PM and I finished Take Me Home Tonight. Boy am I glad to have that off my TBR. Oh hello, we awake. He has been snoring loudly beside me whilst I read that book. I'm gonna give that 2 stars. I did not think much of it. I did really enjoy the ending. It did have that very typical Morgan Matson coming of age, self-discovery. Morgan Matson books always have a character that are really set in what they want to do, and they know what they want to do, and they have their whole life figured out, and then something happens at some point in the book. It's not always at the same point, but by the end of it they've basically discovered that they don't really want to do that at all. There's some hook to it. They want to do something ever so slightly different but kind of the same, or they want to do something else entirely. There's always a character with that element of self-discovery, and it was no different in this book, and I did enjoy that element, but it came in a bit too late personally for me, and I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy this book too much. I felt like, obviously there was the miscommunication, which I personally didn't enjoy. Stevie and Kat get into a big fight. I didn't really feel like that was ever really discussed or talked about when they made up. It was just forgotten about a little bit. And there was just this really weird random subplot every couple of pages where this third character would get a chapter about like some weird kidnapping. I think it was supposed to be that she was watching movies and she was dreaming about the movies, but honestly it was really strange, completely unnecessary. I did just skip those chapters towards the end of it. And yeah, this was such a letdown from Morgan Matson, because, and I don't think this is my age speaking, because I'm thinking about other Morgan Matson books, my favourite being The Unexpected Everything, which does have a character who really thinks that she wants to be a doctor, but she doesn't get into this like research internship that she's supposed to be doing, and all of her plans for the summer fall through and she ends up becoming a dog walker for the summer, and she just kind of has no idea what is ahead of her anymore, basically, because everything's falling apart. Even though I'm not in the age category for that, I still think about that book, and the idea of the book excites me, and the events of the book still make me feel really like mushy, and remember being like a teenager and thinking about what was ahead of me, and it makes me feel the feels. And but this book didn't give me that right until the very end, and it was just a letdown. I didn't enjoy it, and I'm ready to randomly generate another book now. I'm trying not to have hopes, but God, I would like something that I'm actually like eager to read or excited. I don't know. I don't, as much as I don't want to have hopes, I have the hopes. Okay, so let's take me home tonight. So 54 books. Number 24. What is number 24? That one is not any of my new books. Hello. Oh, Marvin wants attention. Oh, have we woken from a nap? Oh my god, no. 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 Book number 24 is Outlander, and when I tell you this book is massive, I can't read Outlander. I'm going again. I just refuse. I can't do it. We've got 47 now. Let's see what 47 is. But I'm sorry, I really didn't want to cheat this, but Outlander is like an 800-900 page book, and it's like Bible pages as well, and there's so much writing on the page, very, very heavy time travel content. I'm not doing it. I'm having no luck. Let me go and get the book. It is Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes. I have an absolutely stunning edition of this book, but I'm not keen to read this one. I don't think it will be easy reading. I've also not heard like incredible things about this book. I do have a signed edition, which is always fun. I don't know, this just isn't really what I was going for today, but I'm gonna read it. I've already skipped one, I'm not gonna skip again. It may not have been what I thought I wanted, but maybe I'll come to really enjoy it. I just have a friend who read this who really didn't enjoy the writing style, and maybe I won't like it. But it's 368 pages. Believe it or not, this is the shortest book that we have been given today by the book gods. So let's dive into Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes. This is a Medusa retelling, I believe. Yeah, so this follows Medusa and Perseus. It's like a mythology retelling. I'm assuming it's gonna have a bit of a feminist take on it. I am interested in this story, and I do always like retellings, for like mythology retellings, because they are a much more easy to digest way of learning some of the stories from mythology, because most authors don't tend to change them too much. Obviously don't take them as gospel, but I do find that as an entry point to Greek mythology or any kind of mythology, retellings or works of fiction that use mythology is a really good way of picking up the basics of a story. So at the very least I will have that, and we'll see what else happens. I stopped to have dinner because I was flagging. I was debating having another Red Bull. Honestly, what I want is a Diet Coke, but my household has ran out of Diet Coke, which is an atrocity that I have not known in a very long time. We are normally very on top of how much Diet Coke is in the household to make sure that my addiction is sustained, but there was a mathematical error. We're out of Diet Coke, so I'm not entirely sure what to do. Anyway, I'm nearly 300 pages into Stone Blind. I love these sprayed edges so much. I have 80 pages left or so, and I don't like this book. The writing is very straightforward, which is not necessarily the problem, it's almost helpful, but there's these little inserts where it's like one of the characters or the narrator or someone is speaking directly to the reader that I just find a little bit cringy, and I don't love them. And then just in general, I don't know, there's just something that I'm really not enjoying. I'm not really taken with any of the characters, and I just find that I don't really care. I'm reading it for the sake of it. I don't think it's a bad book. I don't think it's a good book. Like, there's just really nothing compelling about the story. There's nothing that really makes you feel anything, and it almost feels like the author is trying so hard to portray a narrative that I don't know is necessarily there. Like, some of the inserts, the cringy aimed at the reader ones, will start off like, oh, you're still feeling sympathy for Perseus. Well, think about this, this and this, and all like these reasons why you shouldn't feel any sympathy for him. But also when you read the chapters from Perseus, very much you do understand his logic and you do feel sorry for him. And yes, I very much understand that Medusa, she very much suffered at the hands of the gods. She was suffered because of Poseidon and then was punished for that act that wasn't her fault by Athena and was cursed. And I don't know, I just don't like any of the characters. I feel like both Perseus and Medusa are being completely manipulated by other people in the story, and so I'm not really rooting for either of them. And I just feel like this feminist narrative and this whole Perseus was a spoiled brat who went after Medusa who did nothing wrong is a narrative that isn't really working. So I don't love this, but I'm gonna finish it, and then I really hope that the random number generator gives me a good book to get me through the night time. It is 8:52 and I finished Stone Blind. I think this was a 2-star read. I found it very boring and just didn't really get it, didn't really connect with any of the characters or get the point of the story in any way. And I also just feel like if you can't show that the characters are the way they are or the story is the way they are, and instead you have to have little inserts directly talking to the author and saying that these characters are the way they are, then it's not a very good story. 2 stars, and I'm praying for a better book. We got a 40. No. Book 40 is the Odyssey. I don't think 9 PM on a Friday night is time to start reading the Odyssey for the first time. Like, I know that I wanted to read some of these books, but the Odyssey? I just read this and didn't like it. No, 27 sounds promising. Let me go and get book 27. I do not have high hopes for it. The Inverts by Crystal Jeans. I kind of bought this because I wanted to buy something different to what I normally read, but then it's never really tempted me. At least we're getting a lot of the books that I didn't ever actually see myself reading off of my TBR with this video, but I have never known luck this bad. Look at that! Another 400-page book. So this is set in the 1920s and we follow Bettina and Bart as they have what is like a lavender marriage. So they marry each other as friends and they don't have any kind of romantic relationship. They just are married to cover up the real situation, and I think it's like a dark twist on the 1920s as well as that, and I am not particularly keen on the idea of this book, and it is not at all what I wanted. I've already DNF'd this once in the past, by the way, but I kept it on my TBR because I felt like I was DNFing it for unfair reasons. 9 o'clock, let's start this book. It is after 10 o'clock. I'm 100 pages in. I'm not enjoying it, but I am weirdly intrigued by it. I feel like maximum I would probably give this book is like 3 stars at the moment. The best comparison for this book, obviously content wise, that I have is Evelyn Hugo, but Evelyn Hugo just had a bit more of a mystery to pull you in, whilst that's a historical fiction as well. It just had more to it to just make me really want to get through the book, and I very much enjoyed Evelyn Hugo as a character, and I don't really like these characters, but I can't get myself to DNF the book, so I'm gonna keep going a little while longer, even though eventually I'm gonna reach a point where it doesn't make sense to DNF it anymore. Strangely intrigued to see where this goes, but I'm gonna go and get ready for bed. I was toying with the idea of not sleeping because I was on such a roll with the Atlas 6 and like feeling so good about this 24-hour challenge that I thought when I was reading that book that I could stay up all night, but no. It's 10 o'clock. Current plan is to like read until midnight-ish, then sleep, wake up at 7, have another 2 hours of reading in the morning, because I don't do 24-hour challenges where I don't sleep anymore, because it's just not fun to read books that way. Maybe one day I'll go back to it. If I could like have someone keep me company whilst I did these reading challenges, that would be fun, but for now I'm going to sleep during 24-hour challenges. So yeah, got another couple hours of reading ahead. Gonna go get ready for bed now, get into bed. Honestly, it all feels pretty chill, other than the fact that I have not really been given books that I wanted to read, but I do have to say, in terms of books that I feel like had been on my TBR for the longest time that I really wasn't looking forward to reading, it's been all of the ones that have come, other than the Atlas 6. I did see myself reading the Atlas 6 at some point this year, but the other 3, so this video and this idea has succeeded in doing what I wanted it to do, which is really tackle some of the old books on my TBR that I really didn't think I was ever gonna get to. And you know, now that some of these are coming off the TBR, if I were to do this again, maybe get the ones that I wanted, the fun ones. But yeah, there were definitely books that I would have rather have gotten. But honestly, it's not so bad. Not what I'm in the mood for in any way, but it's better than the opening 2 or 3 chapters were. So when I DNF'd it the first time, I think I made it through the prologue on like half of chapter 1, and the rest of the story after that I did pick up. It did get a lot more interesting than that, so maybe it will keep getting better. It's early, I'm tired, but I'm just gonna sit here until I finish this book. Even if we run over 9 AM, I'm just gonna sit here until I finish it. I'm still gonna count it in my page count and stuff, and just gonna get it done. Not going to move from this very spot until this book is finished. Good morning, friends. So I did manage to finish the inverts in the set time limit. Actually, when I looked up from my phone, it was 9:01 AM, so I'm gonna count that. I was gonna count it anyway, but that particularly is a very, very small margin. I didn't really like this book. It feels like there just wasn't really anything engaging about it. Like, this literally says filthy and hilarious. It didn't get that at all. It basically follows Bettina and Bart, and from the prologue we know that they are now old. From the prologue we know that Bettina is an old lady and that she is currently being swarmed by a lot of press because it's believed that she like killed a man back in like the 40s or something. And then we dive back to Bettina and Bart being teenagers and kind of coming to grips with their sexuality and then getting married, and then how rocky the marriage kind of ends up becoming because of the basis on which they've started it and all of their like other relationships with other people. And then eventually the story leads us from the 1920s through to the 1940s when this like murder occurred, and we get to see what actually happens. It wasn't gripping enough for me. I think the book is perfectly fine. I just didn't enjoy it you know, like the writing was good, the concept was good. I'm sure someone else would be able to pick this book up and really enjoy it, but to me it was just a little bit mad. There wasn't really much engaging about it. I don't have any particular reasons why I dislike it, and I hate when this happens with books, because it almost feels unfair to review them and rate them the way I want to rate them. But I think I would give this 2.5 stars, maybe, like directly split down the middle. There just wasn't enough that was engaging. I think I would have wanted slightly more of the murder and less of the just general day-to-day lives of these two characters. I like character-driven stories and stories where nothing really happens. There was just something about this one that I didn't enjoy. And so that is the end of this 24-hour challenge. I read 4 books in that 24-hour period, and I'm quite happy with that, because some of these, Atlas 6, I'm looking at you, were quite big chunky books, and I also managed to get a full night's sleep, so I'm gonna call this a raging success. So I read those 4 books, which works out to 1,653 pages, which is not bad going for 24 hours. But what I'm particularly happy about, even though it wasn't necessarily fun, as it was getting late last night and I was getting tired and I really just wanted something that I was excited to read, so in that sense that was like disheartening, but also this 24-hour challenge did exactly what I needed it to do. In particular, these 3 books have been on my TBR for a very long time, and I didn't ever really see myself getting to them. They were just going to sit there forever. I could never seem to motivate myself to actually pick them up, and now they are finally off my TBR. So clearly I knew my taste quite well in terms of not wanting to read these, because I didn't really rate any of them that highly. But when we do this again, hopefully we'll have a bit more luck. Now that these books are off my TBR, I can't get them again. And I do kind of feel like a weight has been lifted having some of these off my physical TBR, and knowing that a lot of the books on my TBR now are ones that I actually am excited to read, other than the classics. I have a lot of classics on that physical TBR list because I was hoping it would motivate me to get to them. And reading a classic in a 24-hour challenge? Bad idea. Bad idea. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video and you would like to see more from me, then do please feel free to hit that big red subscribe button down below and stay tuned for future content. I upload every single Wednesday and occasionally on a Sunday. Also, do please feel free to check me out on Instagram and Twitter at Page in Chapter. I was updating throughout the 24-hour challenge over on Instagram and sharing some things over on my stories, so if you want extra content from me and you want to know when 24-hour challenges are being filmed and things like that, then that is the place to be following me so that you get that information. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week, you're enjoying everything you are reading, and there are no reading slumps in your future, and I will see you for my next video. Bye guys.